Hi there, I'm Sarah and welcome to this short yoga video designed for runners. So I've made this video so that you can do it before or after your run, whichever you prefer. And we're just going to help stretch all those muscles that we use during our running. So we might want to use some props for our practice. So it's always a good idea to have a cushion and a blanket for padding if you need it. And then also maybe to have a couple of blocks. If you don't have a yoga block, you can just use a couple of really heavy back books. Also you might want to use a strap as well. And again, if you don't have a yoga strap, then you can just use the tie off your dressing gown or a tie itself, just anything like that will be fine. So really important in our yoga practice, particularly after a run and before a run as well, is that we focus on our breathing. So we really want to make sure that throughout this yoga practice, we're going to focus on that breath, and that's going to help us send oxygen back to the muscles, those all important muscles that we use in our running. It's also going to help us to release some tension that we might build up during our run as well. So we're just going to start by matching some simple movements to our breath to really help us regulate that breath. And like I said, get that oxygen flowing to the muscles. So we'll just take a nice standing position to begin with. So just planting the feet down into the floor. Make sure the knees are nice and soft and we're not pressing them back into hyperextension. Tucking our tailbone under and engaging our belly button to spine to activate the core muscles. Drop the shoulders down and reach the crown of the head up to the sky. So we're just standing nice and tall to begin with in our practice. So just start to regulate your breathing, taking nice long inhale and a nice long exhale. And the next time that we inhale, we're just going to simply reach the arms up to the sky. The gaze can come to. And exhale, gently float the arms all the way back down again. When we inhale, reach the arms back up. And exhale, take them back down again. So one breath, one movement. Inhale, take them up. And exhale, take them down. Let's do two more of those. Inhale. Really mirroring that breath to the movements. Exhale, relax the shoulders. One last time. Inhale. And exhale. So we're going to do a similar thing now, but this time we're going to incorporate a hamstring stretch into it by coming into a forward fold at the same time. So finding that nice tall standing position again. And as we inhale, let's reach the arms up to the sky. This time as we exhale, we're going to fold forward, and we can bend those knees as much as we need to, particularly if we've got tight hamstrings. Take an inhale here. And an exhale. On your next inhale, rise it all the way back up to the sky. And exhale, bring the arms back down alongside us. Let's take that again. Inhale. And exhale, folding forward. Again, bend the knees. Take an inhale here. And exhale. Inhale, reaching it all the way back up, bring the arms to you. And exhale, release the arms back down again. One more time, take an inhale. And exhale, folding forward, and this time we're going to stay here. So just continuing to breathing here in your forward fold. Again, bend those knees if you've got tight hamstrings. Allow the belly to rest onto the thighs. Let the head and shoulders be completely heavy here. So we're aiming to find a nice stretch down the hamstrings and a lengthening into the lower back. So just keep breathing here. Nice deep breaths into those hamstrings. So really see if you can release tension in the shoulders and in the arms. Just let everything hang heavy. One more complete breath here. And on our next inhale, gently rising it all the way back up. And exhale, bring the arms back down again. Okay, so coming into a couple of little balances now, stretches for the legs, particularly for those quads. So pouring the weight now into your right foot, and then gently begin to lift the left knee up to hip height, taking hold of that left knee, and just gently beginning to draw that left knee in towards you. So if you find balancing really tricky, you can absolutely hold onto a wall if you need to. So tips for balancing: plant down through that standing foot, make sure you keep breathing, engage the belly button to spine to activate the core. Focus on a spot in front of you that's not moving and send all your attention there. One more breath here. And then we'll take that into another quad stretch. So this time we're going to take hold of that left foot. We're going to draw the knees together, and this should find a nice quad stretch down that left quad. That right arm can either come up to the sky, it can come out wide, or you can place the hand on the hip, just whatever helps you balance. So try and keep the knees as close together as possible. Squeeze the glutes ever so slightly. Relax the shoulders, find your balance, and breathe. One more breath here. And then release that foot all the way back down to the floor. Give that standing leg a little bit of a shake out. And then we'll take that onto the other side. So we're going to plant down now through our left leg. Bend that right knee, take it to hip height. Take hold of that right knee. Drop the shoulders. Focus on the breath. Press down into that standing foot and focus on a spot in front of you that's not moving. One more breath here. And then coming into that second quad stretch. So this time we're going to take hold of that right foot. So we're going to bring the knees as close together as we can, engaging the glutes. And again, that arm can either come up to the sky, out to the side, or place the hand on the hip, whatever helps you balance better. So again, pressing down into that standing foot, focusing on the breath, belly button to spine. Pick your spot and focus on it. One more breath. And then gently release that foot all the way back down to the floor and give that standing leg again a really good shake. So we're going to come down to the mat now. So on an inhale, let's reach the arms up. Exhale, folding forward, bend the knees. And then we're going to start to really deeply bend into the knees. So we come into a little squat. And then bring ourselves down onto the hands and the knees. So we just want to make sure that we've got our alignment right here as we come onto the hands and the knees. So we want to make sure that the wrists are directly underneath the shoulders and the knees are directly underneath the hips. Spreading the fingers nice and wide, middle fingers facing forward. And finding a nice long spine here. So think crown of the head reaching towards the front and your tailbone reaching towards the back. So we've got a lovely long spine. And again, just coming into the breath. Nice long deep breaths. So to come into our tiger stretch now. So start by taking the right foot to the back of the mat, coming onto the ball of that foot. And we're just going to begin to take some gentle forward and backwards rocking motions to help us really stretch into the hamstrings and into that calf muscle. So that movement can be as big or small as you need it to be. So you find a nice stretch on the back of that right leg. So coming back to stillness, press into both hands and we're going to lift that right leg just to hip height, making sure that right foot is flexed and the toes are pointing down towards the floor. So really pressing strongly into both of your hands and your left shin, engaging belly button to spine, and really pressing out through that right foot to find a nice stretch here in our tiger pose. Breathing. Long breaths. Keep engaging belly button to spine. Keep pressing into both hands. One more breath. And then gently return that right knee all the way back down into your tabletop pose. Let's take that onto the other side now. So the left foot is going to come out behind us, coming onto the ball of that left foot. And again, just find that gentle forwards and backwards rocking motion here. So again, making that as big or small as you want, finding a stretch on the back of the left leg. And then we're going to come to stillness and find that stretch. So as we inhale, lift the left foot from the floor just to hip height. Keep the hips nice and square. Left foot is flexed, toes pointing down to the floor. Pressing into both hands and the right shin, engaging belly button to spine, and really pressing away with that left foot to find that stretch here. Coming to the breath. Keep drawing the belly button in to activate the core. And then gently release that left knee all the way back down to the floor. And we're just going to come into a child's pose here to take a nice rest for a moment. So the knees can be together, or you can take them as wide as your mat. We then begin to sink the hips back towards the heels. They do not have to touch. Walk the arms out in front of us and bring the forehead down either onto the floor, or remember, we can use those blocks or those books. So you can place the head down onto that block if you need to. And then let the arms and shoulders be heavy, let the hips just sink backwards and come into that all-important breath. One more breath here. And then gently begin to bring yourself all the way back up to our tabletop position. And move that block out of the way. So we're going to come into our downward facing dog now. So we just walk the hands a little bit further in front of us. Again, spreading the fingers nice and wide, middle fingers facing forward. We're then going to tuck the toes. Press into the hands and feet and send the hips up towards the sky to make this upside down V shape. Now the legs do not have to be straight here. You can take a really generous bend into them if you need to. Maybe you like to pedal out through those legs to really get into those hamstrings again. That should encourage a nice stretch on the back of the legs for you. So you want to make sure the spine is nice and straight, the shoulders are dropping away from the ears, and we're just sending the chest slightly towards the thighs here. So let's take 3 nice big deep breaths here. Really press into those fingertips. Engage belly button to spine. And one more breath. Good. And then gently lowering all the way back down onto the hands and the knees. And we're going to come into a little lunge sequence now. So we're going to take that right foot and place it in between the hands to bring us into a lunge. So we want to make sure the hands are framing that front foot. We're stacking our right knee over our right ankle. It's not coming forward over the toes. It's going to cause us a knee injury. So keep that right knee above the ankle. Left foot can come back as long as you want it to. If you need to place a blanket under that left knee for some padding, then please do so. So coming on to the fingertips, or again, we can use our blocks here if we need to lift us up a little bit. It's completely up to you. Draw the shoulders back. Find a nice lengthening through the spine, look forward, and taking some nice deep breaths here in our lunge. So we can stay here with the hands framing that front foot, or you might wish to bring the hands all the way up onto the thigh, so not the knee, but the thigh. Again, keep the shoulders dropping down, maybe the hips sink a little bit further forward. Nice deep breaths. And maybe if it's right for you today, with an inhale, we can sweep the arms all the way up to the sky. Keep the shoulders nice and relaxed though, reaching through those fingertips. Engage the belly button to spine here to help with our balance. On your next exhale, if you're already not there, just float the hands back down onto the floor. So coming into a nice deep hamstring stretch now. We're going to gently, keeping the hands where they are, framing the front foot, gently begin to sink the hips backwards, so we straighten into that front leg. Now when I say straighten, it does not have to be super straight at all. What we're aiming to do is find a nice stretch on the back of that right leg. So sink the hips back, lengthen into that front leg, keep the shoulders nice and relaxed here. And again, coming into that breath. If you feel like you need a slightly deeper stretch here, you can lift the toes from the mat, and that might just help to increase that stretch down those right hamstrings for you. So this might be a really intense stretch for you if you have tight hamstrings. So really focus on that breath here. Deepening that breath, sending oxygen to the muscles. One more breath. And then we're going to come into a little flow now. So as you inhale, sink the hips back forward into your low lunge. And then as you exhale, take the hips back once more into that hamstring stretch. Flowing with the breath. Inhale, bringing it forward. Exhale, sinking it back. Inhale forward. Exhale back. One more time. Inhale forward. Exhale, take it back. And then inhale it forward one more time into that lunge. And then we're just going to really nice and slowly bring that right knee all the way back, setting ourselves back up into our tabletop position. So before we come onto the other side, it's nice to take a moment here to just pause and notice if the two sides of the bodies feel different. So the right hip and hamstrings might feel a lot more open compared to the left right now. So why it's really important that we always stretch both sides of the body. So coming onto that left side now, we're going to begin to bring that left foot in between the hands into that lunge position. So just taking the time to find our alignment, making sure our left knee is directly above that left ankle. Walking the right knee back as far as we want to, and framing that front foot with the hands. Draw the shoulders back, look forward, create length down the spine, and coming into our breath. And then you can either keep the hands here on the floor, or maybe bring the hands up onto that thigh. So again, not the knee, but the thigh. Drop the shoulders down, sink the hips forward a little bit further if you can. And again, focusing on that breath. This is a really good stretch for that psoas muscle down the front of the hip. If you want to, you can inhale and sweep the arms all the way up to the sky, keeping the shoulders relaxed, reaching through the fingertips. Belly button to spine, engaging those core muscles to help with our balance. One more breath here, or wherever we are. And then gently returning the hands all the way back down to frame that front foot. Coming into that hamstring stretch now, keep the hands where they are and begin to sink the hips backwards as we straighten into that front leg, coming into that hamstring stretch. So again, it doesn't matter how far back the hips come, it doesn't matter how straight that front leg is, as long as you can feel that stretch on the back of that left leg. Keep the shoulders relaxed. If you want to increase that stretch, again, you can lift the left toes from the yoga mat, which might just help further that stretch into those hamstrings for you. Breathing here. And then again, we're going to come into that flow now. So as you inhale, Send the hips forward, coming back into our lunge. And as you exhale, sink the hips back again, coming into the hamstring stretch. One breath, one movement. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Inhale. Exhale. One more each way. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, coming forward one more time. And then gently bringing that left foot back into our tabletop position. And then from here, it's going to simply come off the hands. Just give the wrist a little bit of a roll here if you need to. And then we're going to transition onto the bottom, and then we're going to come and lie down onto the mat for some last stretches for those legs. So gently rolling yourself down to lie on the back. So depending on your lower back, it depends how you want to have the legs. So if you have a tricky lower back, you probably want to keep the legs bent with the feet on the floor. If you're fine in your lower back, then feel free to straighten out through the legs. So really just taking whichever option works for you here. So we're going to start with our knee to chest pose. So start with the right knee and just gently draw the right knee in towards the body, hugging that right knee in, placing the hands at the top of the shin, and just using the hands to gently draw that knee in towards the body, keeping the shoulders and face completely relaxed. If you want to work into your hip, you can actually take that right knee just out towards the right hand side a little bit further, opening into your right hip joint. And then drawing that knee all the way back to center. Take the hands now to the back of that right leg and reach the right foot up to the sky for our hamstring stretch. So again, the right leg does not have to be straight here. We're just aiming to find a nice stretch down the back of that leg. You can also use your strap here if you'd like to, wrapping it around the sole of the foot and helping yourself to find a nice stretch there through the hamstrings. So it's up to you whether you use that strap or not. Otherwise, just taking hold of the back of the leg by the calf or the thigh, avoiding the back of the knee. Keep the shoulders and face nice and relaxed again. And then feel free to come into some little rotations for the ankle joint there. That can feel really nice as well. You might hear some little clicks. That's absolutely fine. It's trapped air in the joints. Taking that the other way. And then we're going to come into what's called our figure of four pose. So that right foot, if you haven't already bent your left knee, bend your left knee. And then that right foot is going to come down to rest onto that right thigh, so the outside edge of the foot. We're then opening into that right hip by drawing that right knee away from us, just as far as we want to. And just finding an opening into the hip. Again, this will be helping our hamstrings as well. So again, you can absolutely stay here. This is enough of a stretch for you. Or we can take the hands to the back of that left thigh, releasing the left foot from the floor. And that might just increase that stretch for you. So you'll probably feel this into your right hip and your right glute. So again, just breathing here, making sure that right foot is flexed, so we're protecting that right knee. And then gently releasing that left foot back down to the floor if you've taken that option. And then we'll all bring the right foot back down onto the mat to meet the left. And again, just pause for a moment here before we come rushing onto the other side. Just let everything settle. And then when you're ready, we'll take that little leg sequence now onto the other side. So this time it's our left knee that's going to draw in towards us. So taking hold of the top of the shin and gently drawing that left knee in towards the body. Breathing here, face and shoulders nice and relaxed. And again, if you want to, you can take it into that hip opener, just gently drawing that left knee open towards the left hand side, so the hip is now nice and open. And then from here, gently drawing that left knee back to centre, taking the hands to the back of that left thigh, reaching left foot up towards the sky for that hamstring stretch. So again, left knee can be bent if you need to here. We can use that strap if we want to help us. And just finding a nice stretch on the back of that left leg. Again, keeping the shoulders and face completely relaxed here. So making sure you're not holding onto the back of the knee, but holding onto the back of the thigh or the back of the calf. And then feel free to take those rotations again into that left ankle. And just maybe noticing any little clicks or movement there. Reversing it, taking it the other way. And then gently coming into that figure of four pose. So bending into that right leg, bringing the left foot down to rest onto the right thigh, outside edge of left foot resting onto the right thigh. Gently drawing that left knee away, so we open into that left hip, making sure there's no pain in that left knee whatsoever. So breathing here into that left hip joint. And if you'd like to take it a little bit further again, we can thread the hands around the back of that right thigh, releasing the right foot from the floor. Again, keeping shoulders and face completely relaxed here. Breathing into that stretch, which you might be feeling deeply into your left hip and left glute. And then gently release that right foot all the way back down to the floor. Allow the left foot to come and join it. Take your feet as wide as the yoga mat, keeping the legs bent, and knock the knees in together. We're then just going to gently windscreen wipe the knees from left to right, just gently lubricating those hip joints nice and slowly. And then let's take one full body stretch to finish. So reaching the arms up overhead, reaching the legs out long, reach through the fingers, point through the toes. Feel free to rotate the wrists and the ankles here. Just have a really nice stretch throughout the entire body. And then bring the arms all the way back alongside you with the palms of the hands facing up to open into the shoulders and chest. Allow the legs to be nice and heavy. Just allow the feet to gently flop outwards towards the side. Relax those shoulders down away from the ears. Close the eyes and just enjoy a couple of minutes here of relaxation. So after, whether it's before or after your run, just pausing here for a few breaths, focusing on that breath. And just allowing the body to completely relax. Letting go of all tension from the body, all tension from the mind. So feel free to stay here for as long or as little as you like. So thank you so much for joining me for this runner's yoga practice this morning. Hopefully you're feeling nice and stretched, whether that's warmed up or cool down with the muscles now. Namaste.